All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining our Sunday night call. We have a very special guest, but before I introduce her, I want to just go over a couple of housekeeping items. Um, so today is October 25th, so you have until next Saturday, the 31st, to register for Fall Classic. A reminder, if you have not registered yet, make sure that you pick the Spanish language so that we can count for the Latin market. The goal is to have 100 teams. So by choosing the Spanish language, we count for the Latin market. So make sure that you are choosing the Spanish language. That's one thing. The other thing is tomorrow is the National Wake Up Call. You guys saw my post on Team Advent. We have our very own upline coach on it. So make sure that if you can support live, you do that. If not, then make sure that you catch Saudi on the recording. It's going to be an amazing call. Also, for those folks that have not hit Success Club yet, we are going to be obviously following up with everyone you've invited, doing our call to action. If you guys have questions, make sure that you are utilizing the chat so that we can discuss, objections that you're coming up with, the people coming up with. So, and want to congratulate the people that have already hit Success Club: Cindy, Melky, Rosa, and the Rosas. So congrats to you guys for hitting Success Club. And for those that have, helped 1 to 2 people, congrats to you as well. All right, so let's get started with our guest. I don't want to leave anything out, so I'm going to be reading my notes. So here we go. So we have Uniris Estevez, who is a coach since 2012, November 2012. So next month, she will be 3 years with Beachbody. She is a 5-star diamond coach. She is also a Success Club legend, which means that she has hit Success Club for 24 months and above. That's what legend means. She is also the founder of Uniquely Fit Eagles. Uniris is a former teacher, and she actually retired her teaching career after 6 months of being a coach. She is a full-time coach now, and she is the mother of 2 children, 17 years married. I gotta like clap to that. So I want to hear all about how you became a coach. If you can start with that, and then you can definitely move into your story. So the floor is yours. Thank you again for being here with us tonight.
Not a problem. Thank you so much for inviting me. I thought it was odd that you guys did meetings on a Sunday. I'm like, wow, committed. If I did a call, I think on my team, I don't know if they would show, but
It's when everybody was available. We tried different days and it didn't work out. And we were like Sunday. Everybody was like, yeah, we could do Sundays. So
that's awesome. And actually, the kids are home. They're sleeping because, it's a school night. So basically, everybody got to go to bed. So that's awesome. I thought it was good. Anyways, thank you so much for having me. And I pray that tonight's message actually can serve you, because what I've learned is that I need to share my story with others and do that in an open fashion, because the goal is that in some way, shape, or form, you won't have to go what I've already been through. And with that being said, I have, before knowing Beachbody, I was a regular yo-yo dieter. Like many people, I would try lots of little fast tricks. So I tried Nutrisystem, Weight Watchers, the Dominican diet pills, and those type of things that would help me see results, but only for a period of time while I was doing the program. I hit rock bottom at the end of October of 2012 when I was nearly 200 pounds. And I had just come off of Nutrisystem because I was disgusted with the food and not being able to stay up to par, and not knowing, I had not learned any habits or anything to apply. So I was completely depressed, overweight, overwhelmed. If you looked at me, I lacked an energy. All I wanted to do was sleep. I had no for life. I just felt like I was existing at the moment. Life was just happening, you know. I lived pretty much okay. I had my 2 children, my marriage. We lived in Danbury, Connecticut. I was a teacher in a magnet school, very high-end tools. I mean, I was in the top of the line, brand new school. So it felt like I should be happy for everything that I had around me. I went to school to become a teacher, and I was actually, you know, in what people would call teacher's heaven, because I was in a very good place. But I wasn't fulfilled. I felt really like the purpose in my life had been dried out. If you know anything about the education system, it has changed, and it continues to change and evolve in a very negative way. So I felt as though my part in my seeds or my impact in the education system had already reached this limit. I was going against the waves, and I just wasn't happy. At the same time, I reached out. I knew I needed to do a change, so that's when I reached out to Saudi. I did not know her. She came to me as a referral, and I messaged her. You know how we do steps 1 and 2? Well, I messaged her my step 2, and I gave her my whole life story. I told her everything I needed, I was looking for, and I was ready to go. And I remember it was election day in November. So when people tell you that these months are difficult and people are just not interested in making a change, I decided to do something actually in the month of November, because I was sick and tired of waiting for New Year's to wait and start. I had already failed so many times that this time it had to be different. So, you know, fast forward to, you know, November, that 2012 year, I joined the challenge group with Shalene Extreme, Shakeology, and I went full force for that first month quietly. I did not share that with anyone. I signed up as a discount coach. I didn't even think, like, she sent to me the coach account because I had more than 40 pounds to lose. And she explained to me, I'm sending you the discount. All right, that sounds good enough. I had already put like 1,000 something on my credit card with Nutrisystem. So this was really cheap. And the first 3 days I lost 8 pounds. And that was like, wow, if I can do this in 3 days, could you imagine what's going to happen at the end of this? So I committed to my challenge group like it was, you know, my Weight Watchers group. I really took ownership over that. I showed up into the group, and every single day I posted my meals. I thought that my coach was really like watching over me. So I would be very careful on what I ate and posted, whatever. So the first month I lost about 18 pounds in total. And that was the seal. That's it. I was committed for life. And I literally decided from that moment on that I had found the missing link to my life. And then initially I started, you know, looking for ways in which I can inspire my friends and my family. And that's when I introduced my sister. Once my sister joined me, I don't know if you follow us on Facebook or on Instagram, or if you know us personally, but my sister is like my other half. We could be CMS twins. I mean, we're 4 years apart, but having her be part of this journey with me was really was an added bonus. So here I am, a mom, a friend, a sister, and I'm looking for something to do. And all of a sudden, this new thing that I'm doing, it's giving me purpose, and I'm feeling more energetic. I'm still working my full-time job as a teacher. I'm still participating in my challenge groups. I am not working the business per se, but I am sharing with everybody this whole amazing God-sent gift that was given to me. I'm pretty much an open book. So on my Facebook at the time account just to share pictures, and it was private. I had my Facebook account with some friends and family and some coworkers, and I would just share out loud what was happening. they would see me eat and ask questions, and I would not hesitate on answering their questions. And little by little, the shift started to happen, where I was now in my classroom and I was like intrigued by what was happening on Facebook, and if I had gotten any messages or if somebody was interested in being part of the group. And that second month, Norris had already joined me and two of her friends had already joined me. So that's when I decided, all right, I'm getting some income on the side. Let me decide and like put this money on the side and see what happens. Because little, if something comes about it, at least I'll have like, $60 here to spend. It really wasn't a financial thing for me. It was just something that I needed. So now, the light bulb starts to turn on. And I asked Salvi, how is it that this works? She's like, well, you already have 3 people under you, so I suggest you open a challenge group on your own, and you can become independent and do the same exact thing I do. All you have to do is copy and paste and put it in your group. I said, that sounds easy. Let's do it. And she said, and just focus on helping 3 people every month. I said, all right, done deal. That's it. That's all I needed to hear. And all I did was I continued to do my workouts, I listened to the compound effect because that was on my way to work and my way back. That was my entertainment. I loved it. So that started to change things in my mind. And I realized that I needed that. So being Christian and kind of like hearing from church how you have to serve other people and being the teacher kind. So now it kind of like all blended in together. And I started to really look into it. Saudi had added me to Team Eagle, and quietly I listened into all the phone calls, all the conferences, and I just learned. By the time I decided to work the business, it was about February for a cup challenge. And I just really loved it. I exploded in the business. That was the first time in my life I did 33 Success Clubs points in a month. And now I was really working it as a business, like whatever it took. Now I had established work hours. Before I left to work, I would plug in an hour. And then I would go to my job and do my stuff at work. But I wasn't putting in as much energy as I used to into my teaching career as I was now into my Beachbody business. I would come home and put the kids to bed, do my lesson planning, and go on to my business. And I would work maybe 3 hours every single day. But I was learning kind of like the lingo, and I was getting familiarized with it. And I believe personally that it was all set up. It was all being created for me for a reason. So this is now happening around March. And, as you mentioned, I am 17 years married. But at this point, my marriage was in a shaky ground. My husband had made a very bad choice and decision in his life, which caused for him to be arrested. So now I was completely unaware of what was going on. And I hear this message, and now I'm a teacher with, some type of status in my town, in a very small town community. And all hell broke loose. That's when shit hit the fan. At the point now where I am being successful in this Beachbody business, I'm still at work, but now I had to make a very tough decision because my emotional stability was not allowing me to be fully present. I was having anxiety attacks, and I was just not emotionally stable at the moment to keep my teaching job. So I asked for a leave of absence from work in the month of May. And at the same time that this is happening, I am still working the business. I'm still doing what it takes. I'm still focusing in. And I took it as God's way to tell me, like, this stuff really bad is going to happen to you, but I'm setting up the way so that you can survive. So I took a leave of absence in May. I took all my stuff and belongings, put them in a storage room, and moved over to my sister's house here in New York City. At the same time that this is happening, Saudi is moving from Florida to New York, and she is asking me, that she's going to need a favor, which is help her grow in her business by getting to Diamond. And I was like, sure, no pressure. to me, it was like she had given me so much. She had given me so many things that I needed to do. Why not? If getting to Diamond was all that she required, let's do it. And I remember working really hard and just doing what I needed to do in order to get that accomplished. But it wasn't handed to me. And when people say like, oh, my life is not, where it needs to be right now, so I really can't focus on my coaching business, or I look at them and I'm like, if you only knew what was at your hand, you would actually understand that it's your key to freedom. Because in my darkest moments, I'm not going to say in yours, but in my darkest moments, Beachbody came to rescue me. Where I had nothing that was stable, where I had nothing that looked like I can count on. I had my 2 children who depended on me, and I had my finances because I took a leave of absence, I was covered through everything in that case. So I had medical and pays. I kept, working on everything. So the money part wasn't a big issue for me. It was mostly keeping my mind busy and feeling like I was actually doing something and making an impact in the world. Long story short, my husband was not home for 2 years. So we were basically separated. And in that time, I continued to post in my groups. I continued to be present in my social media, and I continued to be a source of inspiration and of light to many other women who, by coincidence or God incidence, whatever you want to call it, were also going through some sort of similar situation as I was. So now my dark moments were serving to help them come out of their dark moments. And while I was giving them hope, I was in my darkest moments, but I could stop focusing on my problems and focus mostly on theirs. And when I came to see, not that my problems were solved, but my problems seemed minuscule, like they just seemed so tiny in front of theirs. So that began to create a shift in my mind where now I knew that I was in the right place at the right time and that everything was happening for a reason. So I never complained. I always had a sense of gratitude, and I never questioned God, like, why did you allow for this to happen? Instead, what I did was ask for him to teach me the lesson I needed to learn so that I wouldn't have to go through it all over again. And many of the lessons I learned were that I needed to learn to love myself a lot more than what I was doing. I needed to be awake and not depend on another person, and I needed to have some sort of financial backup plan that I didn't have at the time. And that woke me up into a stronger woman. When I started the journey, I could not do a push-up if you asked me or paid me. And 3 months after, I could do 12 push-ups. But that was only a symbol of the things that I was being able to accomplish. I had to pack my home apartment by myself. And when my mom would come to visit me and she would see like what was happening, she knew me. She was like, wow, Shakeology can do great things because I'm seeing you lift boxes. And I'm like, you become stronger because you have no other option. I had a choice because of my medical and my anxiety issues and my depression and all of that. I had 2 options. I was either going to get medicated, which they gave me two drug prescriptions, and I took them for 2 months, but they made me groggy and they made me feel like really not myself. So I had 2 decisions to make, which was either I was going to continue using the prescribed medicine, or I was going to take the fitness and use that as my escape and my medicine. And I'm no doctor and I have nothing, but I really did not want to be dependent on an outside source. And I firmly believe and I have faith that the one who created me has the power to help me overcome. So I relied on him and I weaned myself off of medication. And I took my workouts as my medications. And when I tell you that I took upon Kempo from P90X. I did kickboxing. I did whatever trainings I needed to do. I did that because it was going to help me overcome whatever mind boggle thing what was happening. Little by little, the emotions started to shift, and I started to become more confident in myself. As I helped more women and as I saw them change, that gave me hope that I was on the right track. And I continued to be present for my husband. I continued to be present for my 2 kids, understanding that the biggest source of my life was coming from the gift that God gave to me, which was the gift of love and the gift of forgiveness. I was and am continuously criticized by many family members and people who know the story or whatever, and they have their own personal opinions. But that's when you know in your heart that what you're doing is correct. And I can look at my family today and say, thank you, God, because I'm not a statistic. I'm not, because I stood strong in what I believe you gave me. I was able to save my marriage. My husband is now home. We are working things out. We are constantly in communication. And I have made a career out of my Beachbody business. When people ask, like, what made you, like, do that shift, and do you ever regret, or would you ever go back to teaching? My answer is firmly no. Not because I don't admire teachers, not because I don't think it's a valuable and honorable position, but it just wasn't right fit for me anymore. It wasn't giving me the satisfaction of life. I was feeling completely drained, and I literally had nothing else to give. Whereas now with Beachbody, I'm able to impact 1 life, 2 lives, 3 lives. And I can hear someone say to me, because of you, I no longer have to take the diabetic medication, or because of you, I'm able to, solve the issues I have with my husband, or because of you, I'm a better, happier mom. So there are so many other reasons. And I don't look at Beachbody, I never did, as kind of like a hobby, a place where I just go in here and there. I considered it a life-changing opportunity because it changed my life. So just the way it changed me, I help others understand that it can do the same for them. It gave me a salary. So when I took a leave of absence from from the Board of Education, I was already earning $500 every single week. So I knew that if I did the same exact thing over and over again, my pay was going to increase. From the Board of Education, that was never going to happen. I remember having an argument with the union rep because we were getting a 25-cent raise in our yearly contract. And when I saw that from Beachbody, I started off 2 years ago, I was earning $500 a week. And now I earn anywhere from $1,000 to $1,200 every single week. I think I'm in the right place and I'm on the right track. And, yes, we're doing this because we want to help people, but at the same time, you want to learn the tools so that you can actually make it and have an income coming in your life. I no longer feel overwhelmed or tired or feeling like I'm just failing. I actually look forward to failing, because if I'm not failing, that means I'm not learning. And I used to have the perfectionist type A personality. And, I used to have a lesson plan book, and I had to plan my days from, the beginning of the month with my units of study. And then I had to keep in order of everything and the way I was going to keep doing it. And if something came my way, oh my God, the world was ending. Well, when life comes to you and takes the rug underneath your feet and leaves you hanging by nothing, and you look down and you're like, okay, so what's next? You learn to let go and let it be. And yes, I follow kind of like a system where I invite people, have a system for my business, not ingrained in stone. I mean, if I have to switch things up because they aren't working, then let's do it. I'm not stuck because in my old ways. So I consider myself a brand new coach every single month, because every month I'm attracting different people. And every month I'm coming across different needs and like different issues that I need to help resolve. So will I get the right answers? I have no idea, but I'm willing to give it a try. And if I don't get them, well, I'll get them next month. But at least I'm not giving up. Before I waited until I knew everything. And I needed to be completely exactly sure that what I was doing was right. But as I said, life helps you go through like a dark tunnel and just tells you, keep walking, keep walking. You'll see the light sometime. And you have to have more faith than you have fear over that. And that's the biggest thing for me. I used to not live. I don't think you can call that living. I hid behind fear. I was afraid of everything. I was afraid of what others thought of me. I was afraid of what ifs. I was afraid. I was just afraid. And when it came to a point where this came to me the other day, I had to literally, my biggest fear was losing my marriage. My biggest fear was being a divorced mom. My biggest fear was being a single parent. My biggest fear was having to think about the idea of having to start to date again, or having to bring someone into my house again, or having to do my life all over again. That was huge. But I realized that I needed to put my faith before my fear and understand that I wasn't the creator of my life. I wasn't the creator of my destiny or my future. And I needed to let it be and just do what I knew was right at the moment. And that's exactly how I did it. Have I overcome my fears? Absolutely. Every single day. I do things that make me tremble. I do things that make me question. But either way, I'm still feeling like I'm doing things that are right. And honestly, guys, one of the things that I can tell you that has impacted me the most and lately is like resonating in my soul and in my mind is most of us are stuck in life because we choose not to forgive other people. And the biggest lesson comes in your life when you learn to forgive those who you love the most. And I didn't hold grudges, or I didn't hold anything. But when the person that you decide is going to be your partner for life and is going to be there with you forever and ever, he fails you, and you have to face life full front with nothing behind you, and you have to forgive at the same time, you feel like, damn. But also, you don't have to carry the burden with you, and you just have to keep going and just using love as the fuel that moves you forward. And every single day when I have like rejection come across me, when I have people telling me no, they're not ready to join my team, or when I feel used by people who I've given them my all, because I feel, when you're in the service, you have a lot of serving gifts in your life and you feel like you're there to serve, you get used often. So instead of allowing those negative thoughts to come to me, I forgive them and I let them go. And I understand that it's not a reflection of who I am. I'm doing what's right in my eyes. It's up to them now to decide. I take a lot of pride in helping others and seeing them succeed. And I just show up on a constant basis. I learned that if I didn't show up, I wasn't breathing. You know how Beachbody calls them your 3 vital behaviors? I wasn't alive if I wasn't working out. I wasn't alive if I wasn't doing my personal development, because God knows I needed that. And honestly, I needed my team. I needed to connect with Saudi. I needed to connect with Mickey. I reached out, I reached up, I reached sideways. I went everywhere and anything that needed to be done, because it was my source of energy. The team became my source of life, my lifeline. And I considered myself a team player. And just like I used to do at work, when we would sit down on a grade level and plan, units of study and come up with ideas and just work together. But it felt like we were competing against each other. Now with Beachbody is so different because now we collaborate. Like, I'm not part of your team, but here I am sharing a little piece of myself. And we do that without expecting anything in return. And that's the value that I've personally appreciated from being part of this team. And I don't look at it as I said, as a hobby, because it's my career and I respect it as such because I've seen such amazing things come out of it. I find a lot of the things that people ask is like, how do you stay focused? Like, how do you, when things aren't going your way, like, what do you do to stay afloat? And you just do, you just don't overthink things. And as I said, embrace failure, embrace when things aren't working for you. Then look back and see what is it that you're doing in your way. Like, what are you not doing enough of, or what are you doing too much of? And take a step back and then say, all right, I'm going to tweak this. Maybe I'm not doing my personal development that fits my needs. Maybe I'm focusing more on what my team needs, and I'm giving, but then I'm not receiving. Take a step back and say, am I really evolving, or am I still the same person I was a year ago when I started, 2 months ago when I started? Because chances are, if you're the same, then you're going to attract the people who are right where you are right now. And you want to attract your future. So you want to go a few steps ahead and always be willing to learn some more. And if you are, and I've noticed there was a point in my life where there was a shift between finances, needing finances, and, I was just earning the income and putting it to the side to have a savings. Be careful not to use the money symbol in the middle of your eyes and be like the cha-ching, 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 because this is not a business where you're going to make money out of people. You're only going to earn an income. Like, as they say, I'm not exactly sure of the quote, but we've heard it many times. Your income reflects the amount of people you have helped. So don't think so much about me. What am I getting? Well, you're buying a challenge pack. Well, you're buying a challenge pack, and you're buying a challenge pack. Sometimes it's worth helping people for the value of helping them and being a support to them and creating a lifelong relationship with them, as opposed to having an exchange of $20 to $30 on a monthly basis. Like, that to me is not worth as much as knowing that I have a mom, a wife, a woman somewhere in the United States, Puerto Rico, that was impacted by my story, or was helped by me in her health and fitness, or is able to accomplish X, Y, and Z in her life. Like, that doesn't have a value, and that's not going to come out of your $20 to $30 commission that you make off one time. So yes, it's important to reach Success Club points, but don't let that be stress you out so much that you forget that you're dealing with people and not with numbers. And that's one of the things that I maintain really clear between my eyes, because when I was a teacher, students became numbers, and standardized testing became the goal. And it became so much so that we would sit in a meeting and go over the child's needs, and their name never came up. Their emotional needs never came up. What came up were their scores, and they became a score and a stupid number. And I don't want my clients to be a number. I want them to be a heart that beats, a person that changes and evolves to be the best version of themselves that they can be. And just take the good times with the bad times. And as they say, like, you have to think about, okay, so let's say, for example, right now we're in October. A lot of people are complaining because it's a really difficult month. And I'm not going to lie, it is. It's been one of those months when we have been challenged to really think about what it is that we're doing and how are we attracting people. But guess what? The month of November is going to be a little bit like that. And the month of December is going to be like that. But it's not up to us to give up. Because guess what? Come January, when everything is going to be up to par and these people are going to be searching for others, that's when you want to be present. And I've done this already for 3 years, and you're going to notice like the big pike go up and then it's going to go steep down the hill and it's going to go right back up. But only the people who are consistent are the ones who are going to see the rewards. And here's what's going to happen. And take it from a person who gets messages from people that I don't even know follow me. Like to this week alone, I have gotten messages from people who follow me and who are not ready to join. But I've been so consistent and present in their social media platforms that I'm a familiar name to them. And they'll come up and message me and say, Uniris, I saw that you're looking for this person to join your team. I'm really inspired by what you're doing. I can't join you right now, but I'm coming back. I'll be back in a month. So let's touch base again. And I'm okay with that because I'm building my pipeline as we go. And I don't need you to come today so that you can leave tomorrow. I'd rather you set yourself up and come when you're ready to stay. Don't come when you're ready to come and be gone, because those are the hit and runs that I don't like. I'd rather create a strong, deep relationship with you. But that's only created when you can add the value throughout your days. And finally, what helps me stay afloat is to keep my triggers alive. As a teacher, I was not available to my family, to my children. I was not available at home as you would think. Because yes, teachers have the same schedule as their children. But unfortunately, I would leave my house at 7 a.m, come back home at 6. Then that was to cook, to get the kids ready for their homework and to bathe and to put them to sleep. I would not see them or interact with them until, 9 o'clock. Weekends were the times when we did that. When it came to first days of school, I was not taking my son to school because I had his same schedule. When it was time for parent-teacher conferences, I couldn't go to the parent-teacher conference appointment at the time she gave me because I had my own conferences to hold. So I, yes, had the flexibility of having the same schedule as him, but that was also backfiring on me because I couldn't be present. If I was going to go on a field trip, I had to ask for sick days where I had to prepare lesson plans for the substitute to come, which was more work than actually showing up to work. So my trigger point goes back to, I don't ever want to miss out on my kids' lives. My daughter when I started this journey, my daughter was 3 years old. I did take her to preschool, but I've been with her in kindergarten. I go with her on field trips. I'm present in her life. They come home from school. I'm available, happy, and energized to be present with them as opposed to being stressed from dealing with kids all day long. Now I'm home and I'm happy. And I don't ever want that to go away. So when things get tough and I have to be reminded of why is it that I'm doing this, I go back to that, to my core purpose, which is to be a happy mom, a happy wife, and give back to my community. So I think that's a little bit about myself. Gabby, do you have any questions?
Amazing. Let me do the gallery view so everybody can see. Where are you? I missed. Okay, here you are. Oh my God. Amazing. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Wow, I learned so much from you today. I mean, I've seen you many times at the Team Ego events, where you share, a little bit here, a little bit there, the breadcrumbing. But wow, it's a powerful story and message. So thank you so much, as I said earlier today, for sharing with us. I know that we'll have questions, and I'm sure that ladies here will, or we have a gentleman. I always forget.
I know, I do the same in my phone. Like, ladies, one day I'm going to get busted.
No, sorry, Rudy. But, seriously, just everything that you shared. And when we spoke about, you said, what do you want me to share? I knew that, God was going to use you to send the right message for the team. So, and that he had.
I'm always apprehensive to share about God, because in the public school system, you're not allowed to speak about openly. But I always found my ways. Like I always read my Max Lucado books and I always found ways to bring it in. yes, you can have your beliefs in higher powers and all of that, but it's who you think is going to give you the right path. And always know that you're here for only a time. Tenemos el tiempo prestado, like we're borrowed here. So let's make use of it and leave our mark as best as we can.
Leave a legacy. That's right.
Yep. Yeah, you the guys are the legacy people. You better know to leave your mark.
That's right. So I'm gonna open it up if you have a couple of more minutes.
Yeah.
Just to see if anyone has a comment for you or anyone has any questions.
I'm raising my hand. Uniris, I feel like I thank you so much for sharing, and I feel like I can listen to you all day. Like you had some teacher voice, and just your message was very inspiring. So I just have to say it's something that really hit home with me today.
Thank you.
Your voice too is just so calming.
It's had to be that way. I've had to learn like little breathing techniques and taking things slowly and just understanding that life is going to be that way, and you just, when I find myself getting like, I have to take a step back and be like, relax, it's going to be all right.
I can't picture you like that. I'm sure.
I used to teach groups of 25 and 30, so my voice can go really high pitched.
Anyone else has anything for Uniris?
Do you have a lot of are you guys career based? What do you mostly guys, where are you?
Yeah, we have, we actually have, my sister's a counselor. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have another stay-at-home mom as well. We have social workers, we have sales, we have psychologists, so HR, human resource, I'm former HR as well. So we have a little bit of everything, little mix.
The reason I ask is because sometimes you feel stuck in your business, and it's because you're putting your career, your lifelong career to the side. And one thing that I've learned is I have a teacher gift in me, and I can't hide it. It's what I love to do. So I implement that with my team, and whatever gift you have, put it to play in your teams. Share that with your challenges, with your clients, even on your social medias, because people need what you have, but you now have a different avenue, like a different tool that you're delivering it from. And it's just finding a way of creatively blending them both. For social workers, I can tell you off the top of my head, it is really hard not to kind of like feel as though you're counseling. For my first year, I felt like I was counseling and helping too much. And now I've become more of a collaborator other than just holding the hand and dragging the neck. So.
Uniris, I had a question. With the challenge groups themselves, I know right now you said that you're in and out, active, not active, but what would you say are some best practices of how you keep people engaged in the groups? I sometimes feel like, I'm posting pics of food, and I'm posting my workouts, and I'm posting some motivational quotes and stuff like that in there. Is there anything else that you do to keep people engaged so that they're like, because I feel like sometimes if you don't get them to another level of engagement, that they're going to say, I don't really need this group. I can actually, now that I learned, I can do it on my own now.
Right. I like some of the things that I have implemented and worked in my groups is, for example, I host calls, Zoom calls, just like we're having right now, but just to talk about nutrition and fitness. So like right now, we're 10 weeks away from the holidays. So I've done a challenge within the challenge. That means that, as you lose interest in losing your weight, right? Or you kind of lose the mojo. You've been doing this since January. You're working out since January. You're not seeing results. So you want to see a switch. You want to see a change. So I made a video, and I explained to my challengers that we have 10 weeks till the holidays. So from October 26th to December 28th, or something like that. We have an opportunity that every time we go on and sweat, we're going to put in $2 in a jar. And at the end of our challenge, we'll have enough money to buy ourselves a new outfit. I want them to use a specific hashtag whenever they post on their social media, because now I want to see that they're coming out of their comfort zone. And I said to them, when I go to Instagram, we will all see our hashtags attached, and we're holding ourselves accountable publicly outside of our groups. I'll do the same with like a squat challenge or a hold a plank challenge, and I'll ask them to change that out, to change it out and put it on their Facebook walls. But I find that hosting calls and having 3 people share 5-minute stories of how, like, one transformation story, one weight, like how do you prep your day, and another story that has to do with like how holding yourself accountable has helped you come through. When they hear that from other people, just not from you, they feel more motivated and they feel like they're connected to a community. I don't have a single male group because, of course, my team is formed of all women. So I do have some guys, but it's with women as well. So I have one challenge group that is mixed, and then another one which is everyone, the girls only.
Oh, thank you very much. A lot of good feedback.
Yeah, those are really great ideas. Other things that you can do, Rudy and Wendy, is hold, like Uniris was saying, challenges within your challenge groups. So like, and I'll share those with you. You know, you can do like a 21-day challenge and assign points. So like a point system. And then at the end, whoever is posting more, whoever is more active wins like a fixate, or wins, you know, something that you want to give them, some protein bars, whatever. So I'll send you what we have, so that you can utilize those. But those are really great. The Zoom idea, I love that, just for challengers to share. We got to
And like, if you host it, let's say, for example, I did one in the past where we were going to do, it was an 8-week to summer. I like to do things when seasons are changing, because that's when people kind of like either lose it all or they forget that they started this. So at the beginning of summer, we did like, I revamped the meal plan. So that's how you make it feel like, oh, you need me in your life because I'm giving you something you're not going to find in the Beachbody account, or, you know, and it's just little things where you write it out yourself. You take like, if you have Insanity Max 30 meal plan book, you know how they give you the takeout booklet? People don't read that. But if you put it on a paper format and you write it out as if it's your email, and you say, listen guys, if we complete this for the weekend, I'm going to send you this private email. They'll think it's exclusively done by you. And there you are, giving them something essentially yours, but it's really Shanti's.
Love it. Great tips. Anyone else has any other questions or feedback?
I have a question. Uniris, thank you so much. Like, every word that came out of your mouth really spoke to me. I'm a counselor, a high school counselor. So I help students get into college. So I'm a college counselor in a high school. And I actually just started my position over the summer. And one of the things that you mentioned was, for those that are teachers, educators, counselors, social workers, anything that has to do with working with people, it can be really draining. And then coming home and then, you know, working with more people can be even more draining, right? Because you feel like, okay, I go from counseling all day kids or adults to then I have to come home and counsel and advise people on health and nutrition. And so, you know, I think you mentioned something really briefly, that it took you a while to go from like one space or transition from one way to another. And so I just wanted to ask if you could speak a little bit more on that and how you manage that, I guess.
You know how, and this is where I use my teaching ability. I used to teach kindergartners how to use a computer and create keynote presentations, right? So you can imagine that as a teacher, you're hands-on. You want to go there and put your hands on and actually show them by doing it. And I really had to put my hands in my back and use my words to direct them and give them the step-by-step directions on what they needed to do. Watch them as they apply the directions and let them make the mistakes, because they can only learn by making mistakes, and you will help them later on by asking them to reflect on the mistakes they made. So I took that same analogy that I used on my kindergartners, and I use it on my challengers. I use it on my coaches. At the beginning, I want to make a post. Can you help me? And I would go ahead and say, give me a picture, and I will do it for you. Now I'll say to them, here's this app. Here's an example. Go do it. Share it back with me, and I'll give you back my feedback. When, for example, a challenger or a client of mine calls me that things aren't working out, instead of spitting up and letting them say, okay, guys, are you drinking this? Are you doing that? Are you eating this? How many containers are you eating? How many times are you working out? I'll say to them, can you share with me a glimpse of your day? And then they will say to me what they did, what they ate, what they didn't eat, how much water they drank, how much teas they didn't drink. And I'll say, so here, where do you think you're failing? Like, where do you think? I want it to come from them. So it's a little probing of your questions, but then you learn and they learn that you're asking them to be more reflective as opposed to you just saying to them. So you're stepping back and you're saying, you tell me how you feel. And I learned this really hard from Mickey. Like, she would say, if somebody comes to her and asks her a question, she says, well, if you were me, how would you answer that? And immediately, like, the question comes to them, the answer comes, because it's almost like they feel like you're their live human FAQ, and you're not, because you have a life too. So it's a matter of, again, failing and feeling like you're going to sweat, because you don't want them to fail, but in failing is where you learn, and that's how you get stronger.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. We're good, everyone.
Hi, I had a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Hi. First, thank you so much for sharing. Really, really appreciate it. And my question goes back to when you first started, when you were teaching and at the same time starting to pay more attention to growing your business. I homeschool, but my daughter's 3, so it's very different homeschooling. I guess it's a lot of activities, and you can imagine a lot of hands-on. So my question goes to, how did you budget your time into being able to pay attention to your students and be able to pay attention to your business while you were at it? I'm to the point where I'm thinking of putting a timer, and every time it goes off, I can go check, just because it's hard. I'm still trying to find a balance on how to do it the best way.
So I made a few sacrifices while I was working full time, and I was also working my business. And number one, I would get up before anybody else in the house. So if I left the house at 7, I was up at 4:30 in the morning. I would put my workout in, I would take a shower, and then have that hour by myself with a list that I needed to accomplish before I left my house. Before I went to bed at night, I made sure my meals were prepared in the refrigerator. All I needed to do was grab and put in the bag and leave. But at night, if I had any phone calls to make, I would make them while I was driving. I made appointments. I did not take calls from people from the wazoo, like just call me at any moment. I make appointments, because you're not going to go to a doctor and say, hi, can you see me now? No, you need to call ahead. And just like a doctor, I consider my life a career. So you need to make an appointment to speak with me. I scheduled that time so then I would know that I'm not on the phone every day of the week. I have days on which I'm on the phone. So maybe that would be on a Tuesday and on a Wednesday. Those are my phone days. Then I would say, okay, my Monday nights are going to be my nights when I'm going to follow up with people, write my emails, send out invitations, put things together. And then on Fridays or on Thursdays, I would make videos or work on my post ahead of time. So it's almost like you divide your tasks by hours and days, so that you're not every single day just being busy and not accomplishing anything. You want to have a target, and you're not going to accomplish everything in once. There are things that you're going to need a learning curve with. So be conscious of that and be patient with yourself. But do have like a to-do list and then schedule yourself. One thing that was my saving grace was Pinterest while I was working full time. You know, you can create secret boards with Pinterest. And I created a secret board for meal ideas. I created a Pinterest secret board for quotes and things that I was going to recreate for myself. And I kept them secret so that I knew that that was something that I was going to work on. As I created them, I plopped them back into the board. It was secret. I was going to post something on social media, grab and go. On my notes, I had my notes divided into days of the week so that I had my 3 essential posts written out ahead of time. So it takes some time before you do that. So, you know, your child would go to sleep. That's the time you work. I also asked for assistance from home, like my mom, I would ask friends for help. Like, can you watch, you know, so-and-so, I'm going to go and work for an hour. And to my family, they acknowledge and they recognize that Beachbody is just not a busy thing. They respect it for what it has done for me because they've seen how I respect it as my job, as my career.
Yeah, thank you so much. A lot of helpful hints. I've started to do some of those things and I'm like, oh, am I right? Am I on the right path? Is it, because it is a lot of getting used to.
Mm-hmm.
Also to,
and it can be overwhelming to be everywhere at all times. You don't
right.
have to be everywhere at all times. You just have to be present for your challengers, for your health and your fitness, and for your coach for your upline at some point, like once in a while. But you don't have to live in the chats. I find that a lot of people waste so much time in chats, like hello, good morning. Don't say good morning. Just do what you got to do and set those alarms so that you can be like, all right, I'm 15 minutes, you know, talking to people on Facebook. Enough. Bye. You don't need more than that.
Right, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I put in the chat the Craig Holiday call number 4 will change your life. Like literally. He really talks about, you know, getting a live paper calendar and like Uniris was saying, scheduling everything and being present at whatever you're scheduling, you know, and I'm horrible at this. And I think that, you know, my sister and my husband would get at me at that. And now after listening to that call, it's like the heavens opened up and God came down and like shook me. But seriously, like, you know, you have to be present because then you're going crazy in your mind. Like, I got to do this, I got to do that. And then you're not really being effective and you're stressing yourself. So if you're going to be with your daughter, you know, from the moment she wakes up to the time she goes to sleep, which I know you're having, you're struggling with her bedtime, but do that, be present in that time. And then when she's asleep, then be present with Beachbody and just focus. And like Uniris said, you know, the chats can take a lot of time. And I've learned that the hard way because, you know, I want to be present everywhere, but you can't. You really just can't because you're only one person. So even though we want to, unfortunately, we can't. So, you know, even silencing them, if you have to, you know, then that's what you need to do in order to concentrate on your business, on your personal life, on your, you know, life with your baby, as well as your health and fitness journey. So thank you, Uniris, for that. Anyone else? We don't want to, it's 10, so we don't want to keep Uniris, you know, beyond that time. So we're good, right? But thank you, Uniris, so much.
You're welcome.
Seriously, everything you share was amazing. All the tips and just your story as a whole is just wonderful and, you know, really touched all of us. So thank you for spending Sunday with us and opening up to us. And as you said, we're not on the same team, but we are.
Exactly.
Because
we're from the same familia.
That's right. We are, because we're part of Team Ego and Team Beachbody. So we are all related. So thank you again for the time you spent with us.
Awesome. Have a good night.
Okay. You too.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.